Hello again, everybody. This is John and Glenn with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today we're going to be reviewing Top Secret Cardio Igniter Athletic Performance Enhancer. That's the full name of it. It's a stimulant-based powder, and they're marketing it more as a fat burner type powder. Pretty much any stimulant powder that has stimulants in there, so to speak, would act in such a way in terms of being able to burn fat. But that's really the effect that they're going for. Some of the ingredients are built more around that, in addition to just the stimulants, correct?
Yes, yeah, and especially when we go through the ingredient blend here, you'll see a lot of these ingredients are mainly targeted for fat loss.
And each container, it's 35 servings per container. It's a 9-gram serving size. There's some electrolytes to start it off, and then they have a proprietary blend which makes up 7.8 grams. So we don't know exactly how much of each ingredient's in there, obviously, because it's a proprietary blend. But the first ingredient off the bat is the carnosine beta-alanine. We've spoken about beta-alanine plenty of times. As long as you get, at least 2 grams per serving, usually want to hit about 4 per day. I think 3.2 is usually referenced, but we just say 4 grams, just because there's been some more research showing that a little bit higher dose seems to be better. But pretty much what beta-alanine is going to do is increase carnosine levels in your body, which is going to buffer the acid that dissociates from lactic acid. So it's going to delay fatigue, allow you to perform more, and stay explosive as your workout continues. So those are just some of the effects of beta-alanine. If you do get like a little tingly feeling, the paresthesia as they call it, that's normal. Don't freak out. That's just something that's going to happen. And some people kind of like that stimulant effect from beta-alanine. It's not a stimulant in terms of like your nervous system like caffeine, but it's more from that effect.
Yeah, you feel that tingly feeling. A lot of people enjoy that. They look forward to that.
Next ingredient, Glenn, is choline bitartrate.
Your brain produces acetylcholine. It's very important for normal brain function, memory, learning, things like that. So the idea is if you increase choline, that you can possibly increase the acetylcholine levels in the brain.
Focus.
Focus, brain function, things like that.
Yeah, a lot of the research on humans is done with aging people to help with some of the mental decline and acuity over time, and seems to be effective. But for athletes, there's some anecdotal evidence too that shows that it does help with increasing focus and stuff. And sometimes those studies are hard to read into in the sense that sometimes they're subjective measures. Some of them are objective, such as like a reaction time or something like that, where you actually measure it.
If you're just asking someone, are you remembering things better, or is your response time faster? Like John said, it is subjective.
And sometimes it's in products too, because it could be a methyl donor.
Yes.
Which again, in older people especially, can help with homocysteine levels, but anybody for that matter. Sometimes there's products that have ingredients that are going to be methyl acceptors, so to speak, and they're going to use them up. So you want to have something in there to replace that, so you're not draining your liver of methyl groups. So next ingredient, Glenn, is
tyrosine. It's a precursor to dopamine in the body. Dopamine, a hormone that's produced naturally in the body, sort of a feel-good hormone, can make you feel good. Also a lot to do with the brain, mental function, focus. It's also has a slight stimulating effect when you take it. Again, not a jittery caffeine type thing, but some people do notice a little bit of a boost in regards to mental, I guess. It's hard to explain it.
Well, that, and it can be converted to adrenaline too. Your body can use dopamine. I think it's like phenylalanine gets converted to tyrosine, which then becomes L-dopa, which could then become dopamine, which can then lead to adrenaline. So, as always with the body, there's a whole domino effect and other things that can go on. So that's part of it. And then there's one decent study that was part of a formula. It was called a CRAM formulation, where it showed that it increased the ability of students to be able to focus when they were studying for final exams. Again, some of that is a little bit subjective when you get into some of the mind stuff, and again, the criteria depends, but it seems to be, at least acutely, that it can have those effects. Yeah. So that's, again, in there to help you focus and stuff. And sometimes those are in, not only just in a fat burner for that matter, but sometimes if they can help you feel good, sometimes it helps people when they're dieting. I think that's
exactly,
kind of the idea.
Especially when you're dieting, you're on a lower calories, you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates. So anything that can increase energy levels and make you feel better is always a plus while you're dieting.
Okay, and then the next ingredient is
L-carnitine. It's just pure L-carnitine. It doesn't say it's attached to anything like you might have heard of, like L-carnitine, L-tartrate, or acetyl L-carnitine, things like that. This is pure L-carnitine. The idea behind this is there's some studies to show, or I guess on paper, that it should increase the release of fat or lipolysis into the bloodstream, to be burned off as energy. A lot of studies have shown, though, that doesn't happen, or the amount needed is very high to achieve that.
Yeah, or it does happen, but it doesn't result in lower body fat levels. I think like you said, it does transport fats, into the cell. You'd think, okay, well, that would lead to lower body fat, but there's been a lot of research that's been done in that area, and it doesn't seem to reduce body fat.
No,
increase androgen receptors. That there's been some
that would
studies.
be, I think, a lot of that's the L-tartrate version.
Yeah, and that's in the short term too. That doesn't typically last. So basically, it's involved in cellular energy production. Much like CoQ10, kind of along those lines, is the way to think of it. Usually dose you're looking at about 2 grams. I think is where you want to be, somewhere in there, all the way up to 4 grams per day. Again, we don't know exactly how much is in here. And again, that depends upon what it's being used for too. I mean, like vegans, vegetarians, not eating any meat or dairy, or if you're just not eating meat but maybe taking in dairy, you're going to be probably deficient in carnitine. So it's probably a good idea to supplement it with if you're one of those people. And I think during bouts of exercise, it tends to get depleted a little bit. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Carnitine is sourced from meat oftentimes. That's a dietary source of carnitine. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes your vegans, vegetarians are going to benefit a little bit more. And carnitine is one of those supplements that it always looks so promising. It's like that girl from far away that looks good, and then you get close, you're like, well, you're kind of expensive, So now you're expensive. Wait, no, hey, no, that's you know what I mean, because of the cost of it. And stuff
the cost to get to 2 gram serving multiple times per day can be costly.
Yeah. So if you find it, wrapped into another supplement, maybe it's worth it for you. So red beet juice.
Yeah, red beet juice.
Red beet root juice, sorry.
Okay, yeah, it's in here as a source of dietary nitrates. There's a lot of products coming out with this inside of it now. They're really hitting on the nitrates or nitrites in the body, increasing nitric oxide. Yes, that does happen. A lot of the things that I've seen, research I've seen, is that it has a very short half-life in the body, and also the fact that you can build a tolerance to it. There is some research going on in different areas, testing it on humans with regards to athletic performance. So sort of jury's kind of still out on it. There are some people who anecdotally have taken it and claim, oh, I get great pumps, and then there's people who take it and say I get nothing from it. But nitrates being in the pharmacology or the medicinal side are used they lower blood pressure. So
via vasodilation. Yeah. But again, those are people who are going to have constricted blood vessels at that point, and some of those drugs tend to have other things that block the homeostatic mechanisms that your body would have to return you to normal. So if you have constricted blood vessels, sure, the question is in healthy adults or athletes, does it have that effect? And to date, there really aren't any ingredients that significantly increase nitric oxide that we know of. It's not to say it'll never happen. It's just that right now we really don't know of any. So that's what's going on there. And lower down the list, then, a related ingredient is norvaline.
Yes.
Idea being is it's an arginase inhibitor. One of the rate-limiting effects of arginine is this enzyme arginase that breaks it down, because arginine would lead to greater nitric oxide in the body, and it does, but at some point it gets shut down by those homeostatic mechanisms. So that's why that's in there. Next up, Glenn, is taurine, amino acid.
Amino acid, popular in a lot of energy drinks. I think really made popular with Red Bull energy drink because it's in there. It's thought to have some stimulating effects. I've heard of people taking it for cramps. Really, that's all I've
the extent
seen.
of it. Yeah, it's usually in stim products because it seems to aid in that effect. Caffeine. We know caffeine works. We know caffeine has benefits beyond that. Helping reverse fatty liver disease, for instance, is one area. That's not to say in and of itself it just does that, but it can have those kind of effects. Caffeine helps improve performance, helps memory, helps you focus, all kinds of stuff. One thing with caffeine is to temper your use of it in the sense that so you don't become reliant upon it. So maybe use something like this like 3-4 times a week and give yourself a break from it. Now, to prevent headaches, maybe you use just a little bit lower dose on those days off, or use it straight through for 6-8 weeks, then give yourself about 3-4 weeks off. And the whole point is so that you stay sensitive to stimulants. You can stay on them, it's just going to take more and more for you to feel it, and that's going to cost you more money. So.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm trying to find here if it says.
Usually on somewhere on there, tell exactly how much per serving.
Doesn't say. So
we could put a note on the bottom of the video if we find out. So we can probably get that from the manufacturer. Next is uracilic acid, which is found in apple peels and holy basil.
Apple peels, holy basil, a few other herbs I've heard of. This is becoming more and more popular. There were some studies done on, I think, mice and rats to show that it can increase or decrease body fat and increase muscle mass or lean muscle mass. Again, that was done though in rats and mice. The theory is then, okay, let's test it on humans. There's not any research that I've seen directly done on humans.
Yeah, the human studies are lacking, I think. And
always
when we talk about rats, mice, yeah, it's always relevant to start there. So we'll put that in context, but the metabolism of a rat or a mouse is going to be a little bit different than a human, obviously. So take that into account. Now, the other thing too is, we don't really know where the dose should be either. Now, again, this seems like a promising thing because there might be able to inhibit lipase, the enzyme breaks down fat, things like that. But the question is where's it at? I mean, I've seen it rated as high as 100 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So someone like my size is going to be about 8 grams a day. But again, we don't know, so we need some human trials on that. So it looks promising, but jury's still out, we would say that. Real quick, raspberry ketones. Again, two rodent studies, basically. It was kind of popularized because it's been a fat burner for a long time, but Dr. Oz spoke about it on the show and called it a miracle fat burner. Which is a stretch, to say the least. There's a lack of human evidence on it. There was one study on rodents that showed that it could reverse fatty liver disease. Again, we touched on caffeine's ability to do that too, but that was in rodents, and we really just don't know enough to say, hey, this is some great fat burner ingredient. It's in a blend here, so it certainly doesn't hurt that it's in here, so maybe for the fact that it may be okay, it's certainly not going to hurt you.
Exactly.
So we know that. So evidence at this point is lacking on that. D-ribose, the sugar?
Yeah, D-ribose, the sugar. Years ago, it was really popular. The thought was that you increase ribose levels in the body, you can increase your ATP, energy production. Really, the studies are not inconclusive. They haven't shown any good.
Sure. Yeah, it's always the quick compared to what. Well, what else can take that? Are there carbohydrates that can also do that? So that's kind of the issue with ribose. It was in a lot of creatine products there for a while too. Everyone was throwing it in there because I thought kelp is a source of iodine, which in theory we think would help with the thyroxines, thyroid hormone production. So that's probably why it's in here, being that one of the intended effects is.
And we don't know how much iodine it is.
Yeah, we're not sure. We do know iodine does play a key role in a lot of functions of the body, but especially with the thyroid. So and some people are deficient in it. So certainly is something you see a lot of people that supplement with it. At least we do. Next ingredient.
It's Brassica Campestris powder. I found it's also called Chinese cabbage. There's some studies that suggest it can lower blood sugar levels in rats and also lower blood lipid levels, but then I've seen other studies that say it does nothing, or doesn't do that, I should say. So it's sort of a toss-up there.
Some of these herbs like that, it's kind of the knowledge is sometimes based on years and years of using it in China or India sometimes, so we're kind of waiting for the research to catch up on some of them. So again, not harmful, but need more evidence. Uva ursae, which is ursae, whatever, is a diuretic, so it's going to help pull water out of your body. So if you're looking to dry out or get rid of the water or something like that, that's going to be the effect of that. So
thiamine disulfide, it's a analog of vitamin B1. It's popular with the nootropic community. It may help with some brain function, slight stimulating or energy effect from it.
Citrus aurantium, source of synephrine.
Source of synephrine. Synephrine being in a lot of fat burners, it does have some stimulating effect. A lot of people compare it to ephedrine in terms of its effects, but it's nowhere near that. It does have good research on it to show that it may help with increasing adrenaline, noradrenaline in the body. So the thought is then you can increase fat burning.
Okay. And then what do we have? Vinpocetine and
evodimine and vinpocetine. Vinpocetine popular because it may increase blood flow in the brain. So again, more brain function, cognitive effects. Evodimine, some research showing it may increase stimulation and more of the brain function also.
So overall, it covers all the ingredients. Sorry, this one went a little long. There's a lot of ingredients, so we just want to give you guys a breakdown because there's a lot in here. We don't know the exact doses because it's a proprietary blend, but that being said, it's a pretty big proprietary blend, 7.8 grams. So they're very well maybe on some of these the clinically studied amounts, based on the size of the proprietary blend. So more or less, it's a beta-alanine based product that has some stimulants in there and some other ingredients that seem to have some promise in their ability to burn fat. Some that definitely need some more evidence, but certainly as a whole, it's probably better than the sum of its parts, I would say, in terms of that.
Yeah, it definitely should be something that's going to give you a little bit of a boost, an energy boost, a stimulant effect, because there is caffeine.
Yeah, we'll have to find out how much, and we can post that. So. But otherwise, that's it. If you guys have any other questions, please feel free to post them. We're more than happy to answer them. We appreciate you guys watching. Also, you can check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition. Thank you.
Thank you.